fuck is up, Internet? I'm that dude, Swainzilla, aka old guy with too much time on his hands, coming at you from a fucking spaceship. And this is the reviewer. You may be shocked to hear this, but I'm actually not a legitimate film critic. Yeah, it's true. Matter of fact, I've never taken a class. I've never read a book. I've never even skimmed through an article on anything film education related ever. But I have recently adopted sharing my thoughts about stuff on YouTube as a hobby. So why not throw some of the shows and movies I watch into the mix? Let's talk about episode 8 of Andor. In case this is the first time you're watching one of these Andor review videos of mine, I'm a pretty casual Star Wars fan. Like, I've watched all the movies except for The Last Jedi, I think. I've watched some of the Disney shows, but I don't know, like, the books, the novels, like, the canon. So you're kind of getting, like, if you're a Star Wars fanatic, you're kind of getting a perspective on this show from, like, a normie. This show just keeps surprising me. Like, who would have guessed that we were going to get, like, they were going to show us how, like, the Death Star was getting built, or whatever it was they were building. Like, where did that come from? Like, I feel like, and it just goes hand in hand with everything I've been saying about, like, the detail and the legitimacy of the show. Like, man, they just really, like, they're just showing us everything. And they're showing it to us in a way where it's not like, hey, look at this. It's like, wow, can you believe all this shit is going on? Like, it's so intense. I wasn't expecting any cameos in the show. Like, you know, Mandalorian, we got Boba Fett, and then fucking, we got Luke Skywalker, and Obi-Wan, we got fucking Darth Vader and shit. Like, I wasn't expecting any cameos in this show, but then along comes Forrest Whitaker playing the dude that he played in Rogue One. Like, I don't know the canon. I know he's like an important person in the canon, but his monologue was brilliant. Like, he fucking that shit was fire. So I don't know if we're gonna get any more cameos going forward, but I was a little surprised by that also. I really love the actors in this show. Like, the actors, I've talked about how much I like the characters and how they're, you know what I mean? I haven't really touched on the arc that we're like riding along on with these characters. But the actors, like, dude, they're brilliant. Like, and every new actor that comes along is just as good as the last one. Like, I talked about, the guy in the first couple episodes, the dude that was on The Bear, and he played in that Nosferatu show. And he was like a good actor. Don't get me wrong, like The Bear, he was really good, but this character wasn't that believable. And I just feel like in this show, they hadn't figured out how to, like, make him shine. I don't know how much credit you give to the actors. You got to give a lot of credit to the actors. But the way that they're directed and the way that they act out these scenes, I'm just impressed. I mean, they're doing a great job, and they need some shine. They need a little tip of the cap to the actors of this show who are doing an amazing job. They get this whole new slew of actors as far as, like, the characters in the prison sequences go. This whole another offshoot of the story we're getting, and they're all fucking amazing. Like, I feel like you gotta give some credit to the directors, but man, the actors are just killing it in this show. I don't know if, when you're an actor, I've never acted, excuse me, but I don't know if, like, sometimes they just see a script, or the director, there's just, like, this perfect storm of, like, I mean, they're just nailing it. Like, the actors are so believable. Like, the dialogue with the mom character, like, being fucked up, like her leg was fucked up or something, like, the dialogue was a little iffy. Like, the storyline there was, like, a little, like, I mean, I'll touch on it later, but, and I was a little concerned about how it was gonna show up on screen as it was playing out, but the lady who plays the mom character, like, she just drilled it. Like, she just fucking full sailed it. Like, it was perfect. It was as good a job as you could possibly have done with that little plot situation. I mean, I just feel like it was a little cliche or something. I don't know, but she still nailed it. It made it what I was concerned about it being turned out not to be it, because she just killed it. I keep saying legit or like real or lived in, but I think the word is authentic. Somehow these creators of this show have made Star Wars authentic. Like, like, not that, you know what I mean? It's Fantasyland, you know what I mean? But I feel like they've just breathed this, like, real, like, it's like a living, breathing thing. Other than just, you know, characters and fucking costumes swinging fucking lightsabers at each other. I feel like this is just, it's taken it to a whole new level for sure. I feel like this show is the standard for where they need to go with the rest of their Disney shows anyway. I was worried about, like, the whole prison situation, like, slowing the show down because there's only so much stuff you can do. Like, in a prison, and we've seen people locked up in every form of media over and over again, and it just kind of becomes cliche. But it wasn't like that. I mean, they gave us, like, information to digest while this was going on. We got to see how the components for whatever machine that they wanted to build, we got to see how that's made. We got to see how the prisoners are treated just like droids. I mean, they're fed like through a fucking tube, like they're fucking droids. We just keep getting like these, like, they avoid the cliche. They avoid the, hey, look at this crazy shit we're showing you. And they just kind of, like, make everything subtle. And it's just, like, it's gritty, it's real, it's fucking, I just love this show so much right now. They just have the whole vibe down. Like, there's, like, this whole vibe of the show. But then they get to break it down into these little, like, singular vibes within the big vibe. Like, we get our gritty realism, but then, like, we're at the senator's place, right? You know what I mean? They're throwing these crazy, lavish parties, and everything's exquisite, and, you know what I mean? The people are acting a certain way, but there's still, like, there's like, shadiness to the way things are going. Like, there's something going on with the husband and the daughter, like, I'm curious to where that goes, because her friend just ends up missing at the end of the episode. But then you have that. And then you have, like Andor. Like, you have, like, the rebel stuff going on. Like, the museum thing. Like, that's a whole nother vibe. The two chicks from the heist. Like, they have, like, this vibe going on. And then, like, the prison. Like, and then the Empire. Like, the Empire is just, like, pristine. It's almost like, it just feels like hand sanitizer is wiped across everything, but it's so, like, shady, and, like, the angst or something adds, like, this fucking, I don't know, like, you can feel it, you know, like, yeah, I don't understand how to explain it other than it's just like there's, like, this umbrella vibe, and then they have all these little vibes, and it just fucking works perfect so far. We get more characters. Like, I was definitely concerned at the beginning of this show that we were just going to get inundated with, like, even then, like, I thought we had too many characters. And now we have, like, we get introduced to this whole new batch between, like, the prison guards, the inmates, the fucking inmate foreman or whatever the guy's in charge. Like, we get all these new characters to learn about, and I mean, the actors, like I said, are nailing it. So you're interested in what their story is. They've just figured out how to, like, balance giving us enough time with all the characters, right? Like, we get our new characters and we learn about them enough to make us interested, and then we get, like, some follow-up on the characters that they've already got us interested in. You know what I mean? It's like, they've just kind of gotten it down to a science to where You know what I mean? And then they have the stories balanced. Like they have all these different threads meandering through, like some Pulp Fiction fucking Tarantino type shit. We haven't seen any feet yet. We'll see where that goes. But like we got all these stories winding around, and they just give us enough. They give us like an equal, just what we need. Like we need some Andor, right? But then we need like some Empire stuff. We need to know what's going on with the Rent-A-Cop, and you know what I mean. And then we get the museum guy, and he bounces. Now he's back. You know what I mean? He's gone rogue again, Rogue One, I guess. But then he's good at hanging out with Forrest Whitaker's character, and we're just getting enough information to like. I feel like they're kind of like showing us enough, and then they kind of know which things to like leave us on a little cliffhanger for. You know, at the end of every episode, there's something like, oh shit, where's that going? Like at the end of this episode, the senator's friend, she's looking for him, and nobody knows where he's at. Or no, the husband said he went somewhere. Sounded totally like, oh yeah, he more or less he got killed or something, or the fucking the Empire has that motherfucker. My biggest concern right now is that I'm afraid they're going to make us dislike the blonde Empire lady. Like, is she really gonna torture the mechanic chick? So I'm a little concerned about that, because I'm afraid that they're trying to make us hate her in order to redeem her later on. You know what I mean? Kind of like what they did with the chick in Reba from the Obi-Wan series. Like, not that I didn't mind, not that I was definitely annoyed with that character at the beginning of that show, but like, we've seen that, like, and we see these redemption stories all through Star Wars. So I'm like, I feel like one of these, we know why the Rent-A-Cop is motivated to track Andor down. He feels like the dude fucked him over, and he's just like a total Empire fanboy. Like, he is all about the Empire. Like, he just wants to fuck it and order and all that kind of shit. And then he feels like Andor fucked him over, so he's like on a mission. The blonde chick, we don't know. Like, we don't know what's motivating her. So I feel like maybe both of them, like, towards whatever happens throughout this, like, I feel like they keep surprising us. So I have no idea where it's going. Even though we kind of know what happens, you know what I mean, down the road with Andor, we're still like, man, this is such a, like, meaty part of his story, I guess. You know what I mean? There's a whole lot going on. There's this transition where I feel like between the prison, maybe they do something to the mechanic chick or something that fuels him to really get until we get into the real meat and potatoes of the beginning of the rebellion. The senator chick said there's only 3 people that knows what's up, and I feel like it's fucking the museum dude. Who else? Oh, the museum dude's like secretary lady, and the dude that played the cop on one of the, like, what's his name, Rick Smits or whatever. That dude's character, I forget what he was on, one of like Law and Order or some shit. Anyway. But then we're going to jump into that at some point and see like how the rebellion was actually put together. And then I'm like, I mean, it's not really like something I'm like upset about or anything, but like Andor is kind of just like, he's kind of just content. Like, he's kind of given up. Like, I mean, not that I blame him, because like he's in a real helpless situation. Like, and he probably doesn't know who to trust, who he can trust. So he's just like, I guess he's just gonna and I'm gonna ride it out, and hopefully if I'm good enough, they eventually let me bounce. Which is fine. I just feel like it's kind of like, I guess Star Wars has done it before. It's kind of like a thing that they do, but like having your heroes needing to be rescued is like, I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about that. I guess it depends on how they play it off. And he was like careless enough to get caught. Like that whole like going to the resort thing, I feel like that's part of the story. Like, because he thought he could go somewhere else and he could just like hook up with random chicks and he could go to the store and he could stash his loot on top of the shower. And he didn't think the Empire would fuck with him. But now he's probably like in the mode where, oh shit, if I'm trying to ride solo, the Empire's gonna keep fucking me over. I'm gonna have to fucking team up. Maybe that's part of... We'll see how it plays out, but maybe that's the fuel. But I'm like... Yeah, I just wish he was like... He was kind of like careless, and that's kind of like a... come on, bro, get your shit together. kind of moment, you know what I mean? I am curious to see who rescues him, though. Like, if I had to put money on it right now, I would say the blonde chick from the heist. I don't know. I just feel like she has a bigger role to play in what happens going forward. But I don't know. I mean, what's your guess? Any wild speculation? I mean, shit, I'm doing these reviews way later than I need to be. I need to be doing them like the night after the show comes out, so we can have, if the people that do watch it feel like they want to discuss in the comments what's going on, that I get it out sooner. But like, I'm just learning how to do this. It's just really hard for me to come up with criticisms for this show. Like, I try to watch stuff and I try to like nitpick stuff, but like, I'm looking, man. I really am, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not like a critic. I have a hard enough time making a fucking video interesting enough to post on YouTube. I shouldn't be criticizing these fucking people that are doing, especially on this show, doing an amazing job. And they just give you so much to wonder about. You know what I mean? They just kind of have me hooked. Like, I'm just like, okay, what's going to happen? I'm watching, like, you know, other shows, if I don't watch it right when it comes out, I'm like, I'll catch it. You know what I mean? But this one, I'm like, oh my God. I'm dying to know how Andor gets out of prison. I mean, they've kind of, like, set the bar pretty low. Like, he's, like, just going through the motions at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. How or who or what happens for him to be able to get out. Did something happen to the senator's friend? Like, he just kind of was there, and then she had to go do some mingling for votes, and then the husband's like, he had to go do something. I mean, the husband could be, like, mad jealous, like, because she's just like, she's all up on this dude. If they're not conspiring to fucking overthrow the Empire, then they're conspiring to fucking meet up and fuck somewhere, because they are, like, on top of each other. Like, while all this stuff is going on in these parties, they're, like, inseparable. So the husband, I wonder what his deal is. The daughter. And she was definitely acting sketchy when she was like, oh, I met you already. Oh, you're here again? Like, what the fuck? What was that all about? Are we getting any more cameos? Like, are we going to get... Like, I don't know the timeline. So, like, I don't know. This is leading up to the rebellion? Like, the New Hope? I feel like we're, like, within a decade, maybe? I don't know. Andor still looks about the same age. So I don't know who we would come in contact with. Like Leia and Luke at this stage? I don't know. I'm curious to see how that all plays out. How much time are we spending with Forrest Whitaker? Was that it? Like, is the museum dude bouncing, and then we got like our Easter egg, or hey, there's our nod to the continuity of the show, or are we going to spend more time with him? Is he going to be more of an integral part of where the show goes? It's also interesting. I mean, what do you think about this show? What do you think about this episode? What do you think of my review of this episode? Are you stoked to see what happens going forward? If you're watching this, you have to be, right? Anyway, that's all I have for now. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.